the Beatles,
Oh, wow.
the Monkees, the Turtles. You can be forgiven for forgetting that the last of these animalistic bands existed, as history has largely left them behind. And yet put on their 1967 #1 hit, Happy Together, until Sinatra correctly pointed out that the song would be, quote, harsh and abusive, coming from a guy. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Yeah,
Seems a lot more ominous and threatening if a man is singing it. Although there have been numerous covers of the song by...
Alright guys, today I'm going to be checking out 10 60s songs you forgot were awesome. If you've been seeing some of the videos I've been posting recently, you'll know that I've been doing a little bit more into diving into the music of the past. I recently checked out #1 songs each month in the 60s. So if you haven't seen that, I'll leave that link at the end of the video if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, 60s were an interesting time. Definitely a type of music that I'm still kind of very new to. A different kind of sound that I'm new to, and yeah, I'm excited to dive into this one and also see how this one resonates with you guys. Of course, if you love this type of content, guys, don't forget to smash that like button. So I know you guys want to see more. As well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I just want to say thank you for all you guys who subscribed already. We just hit 50,000 subscribers as of the time recording, and I'm truly grateful to all of you guys that have subscribed, supported, and joined along the way. And yeah, guys, look, many more milestones to come. And yeah, man, with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Let's go.
One of the best decades for music, with some truly awesome songs. You had everyone from the Beach Boys
I'm not too familiar with the Beach Boys
to the Temptations, releasing hit after hit.
Sunshine, blue skies, please go away.
So much so that it seemed like an all-time classic song was being released every week. With the sheer volume of amazing singles being released, it's only natural that some fantastic songs that were once everywhere have since slipped through the cracks. After all, there's only so many hours in the day we can listen to music. But today we're taking a deep dive into some stellar throwback tunes you may remember, but might not have heard in years, and the stories you may not know about them. I'm Nostalgic Nick for Do You Remember, and if you enjoyed this groovy playlist, be sure to hit the thumbs up button for us, and subscribe to our channel to avoid missing our next episode. But now, let's wax nostalgic together.
I'll definitely recommend you guys checking out if you guys want to see some nostalgic kind of clips from these guys that I'm sure they do quite a few of. So link to the original video will be in the description.
These boots are made for walking. Nancy Sinatra.
Nancy Sinatra. I've heard of this song, and I checked out the music. I checked out the music video for that one off camera, and interesting song, and I've heard this song so many times in adverts or commercials. I mean, that's as much as this song resonates with me, but I'd love to know how much it resonates with you guys.
I'm gonna walk all over you.
In 1965, Frank Sinatra's eldest daughter, Nancy Sinatra, walked into and all over our hearts when she released this hit. With a walking bass line that she strutted all over, the single is an excellent example of mid-60s grooviness, helped along by copious use of an instrument sadly lacking in modern music, the tambourine.
Okay.
These Boots was written by Sinatra's longtime musical partner Lee Hazelwood, who also intended to sing the song himself, until Sinatra correctly pointed out that the song would be, quote, harsh and abusive, coming from a guy. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Seems a lot more ominous and threatening if a man is singing it. Although there have been numerous covers of the song by such varied artists as Billy Ray Cyrus and Megadeth, Nancy's original recording remains both the definitive and best version out there. While not played much on the radio, the song can still be found stomping away in such movies as Full Metal Jacket and Austin Powers.
Okay, I haven't seen
Happy
those.
Together, the Turtles.
I can imagine that song in movies. Like, definitely. But wow, okay, that's actually very interesting. If a guy was to have sang it, yeah, that song would have hit a lot different. It's crazy, man.
Will be found stomping away in such movies as Full Metal Jacket and Austin Powers. Happy Together, the Turtles.
The Turtles. Oh, I've heard of this song. This is 60s.
the Beatles,
Oh, wow.
the Monkees, the Turtles. You can be forgiven for forgetting that the last of these animalistic
names.
bands existed, as history has largely left them behind. And yet, put on their 1967 #1 hit, Happy Together, and you'll find yourself saying, oh yeah, I love this song.
I know this
Why
song.
don't I hear it more? The Turtles were struggling for traction in the competitive 60s Los Angeles music scene when they were
Okay.
approached by their label about recording a new single that 12 other groups had already passed on, Happy
Oh.
Together, which in hindsight seems almost criminal. The Turtles
That's
blended folk
mad.
and psychedelia perfectly on this hit, resulting in mid-60s pop perfection that deserves to stand alongside the best recordings of the decade.
Yeah, that's a
Sadly, the
classic.
magic was not to last, as the band were at loggerheads over the direction of the group, and they broke up
Really?
just 3 years later. I guess they
Damn.
weren't all that happy together after all. Crimson and Clover.
That's some harsh commentary, man. But yeah, yeah, that's the truth, man. I have heard of that song. Haven't heard the whole thing again from commercial and stuff. But yeah, I didn't realize it was 60s. But such a the fact that I'm noticing that I know that song probably just shows you how far that song went. But wow, okay, the band didn't last that long. And the Turtles, I don't think I've heard of that name until now. But I've heard
Tommy
of the song.
James and the Shondells.
Sorry, let me hear that again. Sorry.
Years later, I guess they weren't all that happy together after all. Crimson and Clover, Tommy James and the Shondells.
Okay. What? This is an interesting sound.
Do you ever wake up in the morning with one image or word lingering inexplicably from your dream? I have, but I never turned these random relics of my subconscious into a #1 hit. One morning, singer
That's a
Tommy
description.
James of Tommy James and the Shondells woke up with 2 words in his head, Crimson and Clover. He had no idea what they meant, but thought they would make a great song title. The song was a departure from the
Yeah.
band's bubblegum pop past. It was tinged with psychedelia and featured a distinctive tremolo effect in which both the song's guitar and vocals would vibrate in time to the single's tempo. After
Oh,
an
wow.
appearance by the band on The Ed Sullivan Show, Crimson and Clover shot to #1 and spent more than 16 weeks on the charts, as it was #1
16
during
weeks.
Christmas time. At the end of the song, when the vocals are heavily processed, some listeners thought James was singing "Christmas is over" instead of Crimson and Clover. The song has been
Fair.
covered by such luminaries as Prince and
Christmas
Joan Jett,
is over.
but it's still
Crazy part, isn't it back then, like, lyrics weren't available like that. You couldn't just go and, like, search what that he actually said. So the fact that a lot of people thought it said Christmas is over is hilarious.
thought
Let me know if
James
you
was
guys
singing
thought it
Christmas
was that
is
as well.
over
For those of you guys
instead
that
of
know.
Crimson and Clover. The song has been covered by such luminaries as Prince and Joan Jett, but it still doesn't get the recognition today that
Joan
it
Jett.
deserves as a late 60s psychedelic triumph. House
never
of the
heard of that
Rising
song.
Sun, The Animals.
House of the Red.
There is a house in New Orleans.
Oh, this song.
While House
Hey,
of the
this song I saw in the top songs of each month in the 60s, and this lead singer's voice sounded so kind of soulful. I can't remember if he had a raspy, soulful voice. I'm gonna hear this song again off camera, but I did like it. Reminded me of some songs I've heard recently. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but yeah, for a 60s song, I was like, I definitely like this one.
A house in New Orleans.
While House of the Rising Sun might not be as forgotten as some other of the hits on this list, the story behind the song certainly is, because no one actually knows who wrote it. The earliest published lyrics date to 1925, but the song's origin probably spans back decades, if not
Really?
centuries before that. Famous
Nobody
folk
knows who wrote
singers
it.
Woody Guthrie and Bob Dylan both tried their hands at it,
I don't know
but
who
it
those
wasn't
people are.
until The Animals released their version in 1964 that the song truly became a masterpiece. House of the Rising Sun, at 4 minutes 30 seconds, with howling vocals and a pulsating organ, was hardly
Yeah.
a typical 60s pop song.
Yeah,
The
it-
Animals actually sang it at the end of their concerts to set them apart from other bands, but the crowds loved it, and after recording the single in only one take, the band had a hit on their hands. The song was
Wow.
one of the first to
One
successfully
take.
blend rock and folk. Apparently, when Bob Dylan first heard the Animals single, he leapt out of his car, pounded his trunk in excitement, and decided at that
Right.
moment to go electric. You'll never walk
Wow,
alone.
okay,
Jerry and the
interesting.
Pacemakers.
Interesting. I know this one.
Managed by Brian Epstein. Recorded by George Martin.
Brian
From
Epstein.
Liverpool. This next song must...
Is he related to, the infamous Epstein by any chance? Because the surname there is interesting. But, sorry, that's just went on my mind real quick. That's a mad connection.
Managed by Brian Epstein. Recorded by George Martin. From Liverpool. This next song must be
this
sung
is
by the
from-
Beatles. Wait, it's not? It's understandable if you never heard of the Beatles' little sister of a band, Jerry and the Pacemakers, because
Little
history
sister.
has not remembered them as well as some of their contemporaries. But
Wow.
you've definitely heard their 1963 hit, You'll Never Walk Alone.
I've heard it
Originally
from
written for the
Liverpool's theme
Broadway
song.
musical Carousel, the song is an uplifting exhortation to keep on trucking, even when the world looks bleak. As long as you have
Right,
hope
yeah.
in your heart, you'll never truly be alone. Although
Yeah.
the song has largely been forgotten on this side of the pond, people in the UK will be very familiar
I know
with
about
it,
this
as
song.
the single is
Football,
the
yeah.
unofficial anthem for Liverpool FC.
Yep,
The song
yep,
is
yep.
loudly sung by supporters before every home
hate it.
match. A tradition that took on a deeper emotional meaning after
Hey,
the
shout out to Liverpool, man. My dad supports Liverpool. I support Liverpool as well, but I don't really watch football as much. I'm too busy checking out some stuff from the past from you guys. So, but yeah, a lot of people in the UK are familiar with this song. And if any of you guys watch football, I'm not gonna say soccer because it's football, from overseas, then and you know about Liverpool, you'll know as well. But there's quite a few like British bands that were popping in the 60s, like including the Beatles, etc., which is interesting.
A tradition that took on a deeper emotional meaning after the Hillsborough disaster of 1989, in which 96 fans were crushed to death.
Yeah,
Aquarius, Let the Sunshine In, the fifth
Ah,
dimension.
this song is a banger. This song is a banger.
Much like a butterfly flapping its wings, sometimes the smallest events have a big effect. One day, singer Billy Davis Jr. lost his wallet on a train, where it was found by a
really?
member of the crew of the Broadway hit Hair. So Davis went to
Really?
see the show, fell in love with the song Aquarius, and insisted that his band, The Fifth Dimension, record it. When the other members
Oh,
of the
wow.
band pointed out that it was barely half a finished song, he replied that they would combine it with another of the musical's numbers, which, although different in key and tempo, Davis resolved to, quote, jam together like two trains,
Oh, that's a picture.
and thus was
Yeah,
born...
that's the mad thing about this song. This was another one of those songs that after the video I checked off camera because I've heard the Let the Sunshine bit. I feel like I've heard it from some movie and it just got me pumped. And even to this day, it's one of those songs that I'll probably listen to like in the gym or something. But this song, I was shocked at how it started. Like that whole Aquarius part, I was like, I didn't realize it almost sounded like two different songs. And I was surprised that Let the Sunshine part started off with this whole Aquarius part, and I was like, mate, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, that was my first time hearing the full song, which is crazy to think about.
together like two
Interesting.
trains.
Interesting that they did that.
And thus was born the perfect song for the late 60s. Just like the hippie movement gaining steam around the country, Aquarius dreamed of a near future where peace and love reign, where free
Right.
minds guide the future of humanity. And also, just like the hippie movement, the song remains a relic of the past. Although it's awesomely silly and fun, the single rarely gets played today. So come on, let the sunshine in. 96 Tears, question mark, and the Mysterians.
Have I heard? Sounds familiar.
It seems bizarre that history hasn't been more kind to a song with as catchy an organ riff as 96 Tears. But so goes the fickle tides of taste. When the band released their 1966 hit, it quickly soared to the top of the charts,
1966.
perhaps lessening the amount of tears the band was crying. Not only was the song a smash hit in its own time, but the single foresaw the future of rock music. 96
Really?
Tears, with its simple instrumentation and relentless pace, was one of the first successes for the burgeoning genre of garage rock, and has
Okay.
been credited with being one of the songs that influenced the beginning of punk rock. It's been theorized that 96 was a censored version of the original 69, but lead singer has denied this, instead stating that the number has a deep spiritual meaning for him. Bobby Balderrama, the lead guitarist, was only 14 when they recorded this incredible song, because as Q puts it, there's no age to rock and roll. And when asked, where did you get your name,
He's young.
he coolly responded,
Well, actually, that is my name.
coming from a man who has stated that his
Is-
soul is from Mars and he once
What?
walked the earth with dinosaurs. That sounds about right.
No way is his name. He said ? What? That's not his name. I
From
can't.
Mars,
No way.
and he once walked the earth
That's
with
gotta be a joke.
dinosaurs. That sounds about
Surely.
right. Man, the
Surely that's got to be inside joke.
Actually, that is my name.
coming from a man who has stated that his soul is from Mars and he once walked the earth with dinosaurs. That sounds about right. Man, the 60s were the best time for tunes. Even the somewhat forgotten hits were outstanding. So tell us, what dusty gem had you forgotten about? Is there another great 1960s song that should be included on this list? Add it in the comments below. I want to discover some new music and we read every one. If you enjoyed these musical memories, be sure to hit the thumbs up button for us. And subscribe to Do You
Hey, so yeah, guys, again, link to the original video will be in the description. Look, this was an interesting insight into a little bit more of some of the top songs of the 60s. Some of them I've actually recognized, probably go to show just how far some of these songs went. And a lot of these songs that I recognized, I didn't even realize it all the way back from the 60s. Look, the 60s had a very distinct sound compared to like the 70s and 80s. I feel like when I hear 60s music, I always instantly think of things like these, like 1950s, like really classy haircuts that are like cold on the women, and these like gelled cuts on the men, really dapper clothing. I feel like now now that I'm learning a bit more about the 60s, especially through the music, is bringing to life a lot of these like older memories that I have from some movies, even some games that had like 60s theme to it. And to me, it was just like a cool kind of like I didn't even know what it was. It was just like a different world. I didn't even realize it was the 60s. I didn't even realize this type of music that came from this period. I didn't realize this is what the cars were like, this is how they dress and the norms at the time. So now that I'm learning about it, it's kind of trippy to realize that, okay, no, these things aren't just this. It's not just some made up world that some creative mind came up with. This was actually how things used to be. That's something that it's a weird thing I'm starting to discover on this rabbit hole. Like there's a lot of things that I thought were just made up things from another planet, like in someone's head. Then to realize, wait, that toy that I used to play with, are you telling me people actually used to like look like that? People actually used to drive those cars that I'm playing with? I thought that was just some random made up thing. But yeah, that's my reaction to that, guys. Like, I'd love to know how this one resonated with you guys. And look, you guys let me know as well. I would love to know is what other songs would you guys put in here that you guys would say were awesome from the 60s? How much do you resonate with 60s songs? And what kind of memories do they bring out of you? Is the 60s your favorite decade for music? You know, for those of you guys that may or may not have grew up in that time, I'd just love to know in general for my music heads. And yeah, guys, other than that, if you made this point, comment on a brown heart so I know who my real ones are who made this point. Or for those of you guys that are watching who are still struggling emojis, #flexible, be just fine. We don't discriminate. And of course, if you want to see me check out some more of these kinds of flashbacks to the past / compilations, I got a playlist linked at the end of the video. And of course, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed before you head on out. And with that being said, guys, look, I've been your boy JayFlex, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.